Hello everyone, my name is Chandan and I welcome you again to my channel. This is the 19th video in TestNG tutorial series, and what we are going to see today is one of the most important and interesting topic under TestNG, that is what is listener, and we are going to cover ITestListener as a part of this video, right? So let's quickly open my Eclipse and then we are going to see some examples, some discussion between you and TestNG. Yes, you and TestNG. And then we are going to see some implementation. And finally, at the end, after we understand everything, we are going to see the definition of TestNG listener, right? Or yeah, TestNG listener. All right, so let me just open the project that I have been using for most of my presentations. Let me open listener. This is the package that I have created for this particular video, and all we have is demo class in here. And if you see here, we have basic test method one with the test annotation. All right. So I hope this is clear to you. Okay. If in case something is there which you don't understand, then I believe that you have hardly started, and you may want to go and watch from the beginning of this tutorial. I have explained everything in detail, most of the things that we use in automation, in our day-to-day automation in detail. All right, that's why my videos are comparatively longer than others. All right, so let me come back to the topic. So this is the test method. Now let's talk about a discussion between you and TestNG. All right. So you're talking to TestNG now, saying that, hey TestNG, listen to me. TestNG says, okay, I'm listening to you. Tell me. You say you said that I have this method. All right. I can execute this method. But before I execute this method, I want to perform some action. I want to make sure that you guarantee me that that particular set of action is executed before this method is executed. All right. And I even want that after this method is executed successfully, I want some other action to be performed. All right. And in case this method fails, I mean this test fails, in that case I want to perform some other action. And in case this method was not executed at all, it was skipped for some reason, I want to perform some other action, right? So I hope that's clear. I want to perform something before this test execution starts, and then I want to execute this method. And in case this method passed successfully, I want to perform some other action. And in case it fails, I want to perform something else. And in case it skips, then I want to perform something else. Now the TestNG says, all right, I listened your requirement, and let me tell you that I have an interface called ITestListener, which when implemented by a class, all right, and if you link your class, all right, the class where your test method is, with that class, then you will get what you're expecting. All right, so you're excited, you have something, you need something, and TestNG has exactly same thing to offer. All right, so let me just quickly note it here. I have it noted. So you want to do something before the test start, and then you want to execute the test, and right after that you want to do something after your test. That means if this test is executed successfully or passed, then you want to do this. All right, let me read it. Sorry. And in case if the test fails, then you do something, and in case the test is skipped, you do something. All right. So let's quickly check how can we do that. All right, because TestNG says that it has an interface called the ITestListener interface, which when implemented by a class, and if you link this class with that class, in that case you will be able to achieve all these actions. All right, so let's quickly check. All right, so let's go with a new class. Let's create a new class within this listener. Let me name it as TestNG. I'm sorry, TestNG. What is wrong with me? All right, listener. All right, so click on finish. All right, so we have this basic class here. Now, as per TestNG, we have to implement an interface. Name is ITestNG. Let me put it control. Let me hit control space and see what are the options I have. So TestNGListener is what it mentioned. Click on that, and that's it. Okay. So the class is implementing the interface. Now, if you see here, you will notice that we are implementing a interface. So ideally, Eclipse should ask me to implement all the methods that we have within this interface. All right. So, but it is not giving me in that error. The reason is, I'll tell you the reason. Okay. There are two reasons for this. First thing, let me open that. All right. Now I have got this. Someone, you know, uh, opened this issue, okay, way back in 2018. All right. And if you see here, it is under a part of issue. And he had raised the same question. When the test listener, when the ITestListener or any other listener gets implemented, Eclipse should show add unimplemented method option. When click on the option, all the methods of the interface should include the class, like this, right? This is what we are seeing as of now in our class, exactly the same. We have the package, we have the import statement, and then we have the class, and nothing is below that, right? Is the issue reproducible on runner? All right, similar thing. Now, if you see here, the guy who has replied this, his name is Krishna Mahadevan. All right, if you hover on it, Krishna Mahadevan, he is a contributor for TestNG. All right, so what he says is TestNG 7, that is the version that we are using. Okay, TestNG 7, and let me just quickly show you properly. It will be here. Okay, if you see here, within TestNG it says 7.3. All right, so that means we are using, or at least I am using 7.3. And if you're learning TestNG for the first time, probably you should go for the recent ones. The recent one is 7. All right, so it says TestNG 7 uses JDK 8, right? And within default methods within interface. Default methods within interface. That means it has methods within the interface. Now we all know that interfaces have abstract methods. We don't have implementation there, but we even know that with Java 8 we can have interface with default method. We can have implementation that is called default implementation of those methods. All right, so let's verify this first. So we have TestNG 7, and I told you that I'm using JDK 8 for each of the project that I have. And let's see if we have interface as well, ITestListener interface, and then we are going to see if we have default methods there or not. So let me just quickly open Eclipse, and let me go here, press F3. It will take me to the detail of this. Oh, sorry. Okay. All right. So I don't know. There was some error. I had to fix it. I had to delete that file and then create the same class again. We may have some bug, but not a problem. So what I was saying is, read this line again. TestNG 7 uses JDK and with its default methods within interface. All right. So let's go to the interface and see what are the default methods that we have. Now interface, this is the interface, and then you can see here we have some method called onTestStart, onTestSuccess, onTest, and we have many more there. But if you see here, we have blank method. That means it doesn't have any statement to be executed, right? But you see here, it is, it has an implementation, though it is a default implementation. That means if you don't implement it, it has something to be executed. All right. Similarly, onTest is also has default implementation. All right. So this is also default implementation. Even this has default implementation, right? So all the methods that we have, they all have default implementation. This is what it is talking about. TestNG 7 uses JDK with the default methods. All right. Within interfaces, what it means is that every listener would now have a default implementation which does not do anything. So default implementation which does not do anything. So we have default implementation but which does not do anything. That means we don't have anything inside, so it's an empty method. All right, so all the methods, all the default implementation that we have, it doesn't have anything. All right, so which does not do anything for all the methods defined within the interface. We saw that, right? All right. Secondly, he says so now you won't see those indication from the IDE. That means the error that IDE usually throws or asks you to implement the unimplemented methods within an interface. The reason is we have the methods already implemented within the interface. These are, I mean, these are empty methods, but they are considered as default implementation. All right. So since it has default implementation, that's why it is not giving you that error. The biggest benefit of default methods in interface is that, let's say you are implementing an interface for 10 methods defined in it, you can just implement whatever you want, you need, and rest of the behavior comes via the default methods in the interface. So all it is saying that you are free to implement the methods that you want. Say for example, we have too many methods here, right? I don't want to implement all those methods, but before Java 8, JDK 8, if we have interface and if it has 10 methods in there, abstract methods, then you are bound to implement all those methods. But right now, after Java 8, since it allows to have implementation for an interface, okay, you are free to choose what needs to be implemented and not implemented. All right, so let's go and check that here. So now we have these many methods. I'm not going to implement all of them. All right, so I should know what to I should be free to implement. So since we don't have anything here, how to pull all those methods? Right click on it, go to source, go to override implement method. Now this is going to give you this one. Now within ITestListener, you can go for all of them, or you can go the one you want. Okay, so let's go with I finish, I start. I don't want to go with this on test failed but within success percentage, because this is, I guess, this is not something which is behaving the way it should. All right, it can be my view. I tried multiple examples, but it is not giving me the success which I want. And similarly, that is the case with this timeout as well. So as of now, please don't hate me for this, but I'm not covering this two part. And to be very honest, I have never used or seen anyone using this two methods from this interface. All right, so we are going to use rest of them, but except these two. So let me just open this. All right, so I have selected all of them except these two. All right, so click OK, and you can see all the methods. We have all the methods. Now if you see here, apart from to do auto generated, we have this as well, and this is nothing but in case you don't implement anything within this class, within this method, it will automatically go and execute whatever we have in on test start of this method, of this interface. So if we go here, okay, it will come here and it doesn't have anything. So ultimately it is not doing anything. Okay, so there is no point of keeping this here. Okay, because we are going to implement, we are going to write some statement within this method. The reason is we want to achieve, the reason is we want to achieve what we wanted to do. We wanted to perform something before test, right? So this is the method which says on test start. That means the moment your test start, all right, before that you have to do this, right? And similarly, let me just get rid of all this here as well. All right, I'm trying to explain you in the best possible easiest way. All right, in case you don't, still if you have any doubt, just put it down in the comment box. I'll be more than happy to help you with that. All right, so if you see here the demand that we want to do something before the test start, we want to do after my test passed. Okay, let me just write it passed. Okay. And in case my test failed, we want to do something, and in case my test skipped, I want to do something. All right, so let's go and do something. All right, so let's put all the do something statement here. So this is my before on test start, that means right before my test start. So let me just for the simplicity, let's keep the sysout statement. All right, it will save us some time. Z, but you can replace this this statement with any action of your choice. All right, let me tell you that, if you have worked with a test framework, or automation framework, then you would know that before a test is executed, what are the different things that you would like to do. You would like to initialize the object of log4j, the reporting part. Like, you want to execute the lines required for extend report, right? We have 4 to 5 lines of code that you need in order to start the extend report. Similarly, for we have similar for this thing for logging log4j, right? So all those actions, right, the reporting part that you want to perform as the very first thing before a test method is executed, that goes here. All right, but it's up to you. It depends on the project as well. If you want to go and make a connection to a database, or if you want to delete some prerequisite data or post requisite data, so that you can create it back again and it doesn't give you a duplicate error, you can put that here as well, the deletion of data, right? So that you make sure that that data is not present in a database before you trigger your test. All right, I repeated that statement. All right, so but as of now, just for the simplicity, let me just put it like I am in on test start, right? All right, and if you observe here, all right, if you see here, the argument that we have, the argument that this method is accepting is ITestResult. Now this ITestResult is another interface, all right? And what we can get from result, let's see what we can get from result. When we click on dot, it will tell you we have these many options to use from, all right? So let's go with this get name. So what this method will do is when you click hover on it, says the name of this test result typically identical to the name of the method. So this will give you the name of the method that you are going to execute. So what is the method that I'm going to execute? I'm going to execute this method, test method 01. So this particular result.getName will fetch me this particular name. It will tell me that I'm going to execute this particular method, and these are the things that I want to execute. So whatever the line of code that you want to put here, you can put here. All right. All right, so that's all about starting off the case. Now you have another requirement as well. Do something after your test pass. Let's do something. Copy this, okay, and paste it here. Okay, let me just paste it here, and I'm in on test success. Okay, or maybe you can, or maybe let me just rephrase this. Okay. Test is starting. Okay, it makes sense. All right, so now the test has successfully executed. Let me just try to make it more meaningful. The test was successfully executed or passed. All right, you can say so. Now, why this is giving me error? Okay, cool. Now, before I go to this failed and skipped items, let me just uh, let me test whether these two are working fine or not. All right. So now, if you remember the statement told by TestNG that it has a listener which when implemented by a class, and if you create a link between that class and the class where you have the test, then you will be able to perform these actions, right? The actions that you want. So how do we link this method, this class with this class? So TestNG has provided another annotation, which is listeners. Okay, and within listener you have to specify the name of the class. All right, so the name of the class is TestNGListener. Go there, put it in, and dot, you have to just specify this class word there and hover on this and import the listeners, right? Control S, all error gone. Okay, and now let's see if if TestNG was correct. So let's run this class. So if you see here, it has printed the test is starting. This statement is pulled from my listener class from on test start. All right, and then this was my basic sysout statement from the actual test, all right? And then right after test was successful, all right, since this was passed, this particular line was executed, this particular line was printed, the test was successfully executed or passed, and this is the name of the method it is printing, method 01. All right, so we have checked for these two statements. In case, say for example, I don't have anything in here, this is a blank method, nothing in here, so let's see what happens now. In that case, ideally this will not, I mean the pass statement, the third statement that we have, will not be printed, right? Makes sense? All right, so if you see here, the first on start was printed, and then we have the method and nothing was printed. I hope that clear. That means it is going in the sequence that we thought of, that we wanted to do something before the test, right, and right after the test, right? So since we don't have anything under the test, it did not print, but we want to keep something in the test, right? Now let's check on failure. Say for example, this test got failed. In that case, what should happen? All right, so let me just purposely fail this statement. Assert equals, right? So let me make it like 2 and 3. 2 is not equals to 3. It is taking j unit. Let me put this in there. So go for testing, right? Very good. Now if you see, this will be printed, all right, but this will mark this particular test as fail, okay? Because 2 is not equals to 3. Okay, but if you're confused about assertion, then I highly recommend you to go back to my channel. I mean, the video, the playlist. I have put the link in the video description as well. So go for the assertion, check out my video. It's a detailed video on what is assertion, what is hard assertion, and what is soft assertion. All right, so I encourage you to go and watch the video. In fact, I encourage you to watch the video, I mean all the videos in this tutorial straight from the beginning, right? It will be very helpful for you. Okay, this is going to fail, and if we see here, do we have anything in the fail statement? Are we doing any action? Are we performing any action in the fail statement? No. Okay, but okay, let me just put it down here and then we'll discuss about it. The test was failed. All right, so let me just okay, now if you can think of what should be done on a test when a test is failed. When a test is failed, the first thing that we do is, or would like to do, is take a screenshot, right? We take a screenshot and then we pass it to our report. That is, probably you use extent report, Elia report, right? Or any third-party tool that you are using for reporting. Then you need a screenshot for that failure test. So you can drop the line of code for taking screenshot here, okay, within this on test failure. So every time when a test is failed, the screenshot will be taken automatically. All right, so and that is this guarantees that they will be executed. If you have used this listener and you have some sort of action within these methods, it guarantees you that these methods will be executed when a test is run. All right, so when a test is failed, okay, this line will be executed for sure. And if you put take screenshot method, the code lines of code here, that will be executed. I will cover that as a part of separate video. All right, but as of now, just keep an understanding that take screenshot or anything that you want to do after when a test fails, that line of code goes here, go here, sorry. Okay, and then all right, so let me just run this and see what is happening now. Okay, so run is TestNG test. Right, so if you see, the test was failed. All right, expected 3, but if you see the statement that was printed, the test is starting, that is on start, the test is starting, and then it printed the method, the statement that we have in the test method, and then it print the test was failed test method 01. All right, it did not print this statement this time because the test was not successful, it was not passed. All right, but since it was failed, it did this action. All right, so we saw that do something if the test is failed. Right, now let's see how do we achieve this skip. Okay, now if you remember, if you have seen the video, or if you know, that my test is skipped. All right, the report prints it as skipped when test is not executed. All right, and we saw that when we use depends on attribute for a test. So let me just quickly show you. Let me just put it, I'm sorry, depends on control space and depends on method. I'll just quickly explain you what I'm trying to do. Okay, so I have made a replica of this method one, and then I rename it to method two. And all I'm doing is, let me just pass this, right? Because I want to fail. I'm sorry, I have to fail this. Okay, now if you see here, we have two test method. Okay, now this method two is depending on the method one. Okay, now if you know what is depends on method, then you know that in case the dependent method, I mean the method on which this method depends on, it fails, then this particular method will not be executed, right? If you don't know, then I encourage you to go and watch the video where I have explained you depends on method and depends on groups. Okay, so I let me repeat. If this, I mean, if this method depends on this method and this method fails for some reason, okay, in that case this method will not be executed and this method will be considered as skipped method. This will be skipped, it will not be executed at all right, and TestNG report will print it as skipped method, right? So let's just run this. Okay, before we run this, we know that we have a method for on test skipped, and we wanted to do that, right? Do something if the test is skipped. So let's do something. Let's copy the same thing and paste it here. Let me just write it skipped. Okay, and this will print me the name of the test that was skipped. Now you know that we have two tests out of which this will fail and this will be executed successfully, but it will, I mean, this will not be executed. The reason is, okay, and that since this will be not executed, this will be skipped, the method name that will be printed by this method will be the method 2 and not method 1, right? I hope that's clear. I have repeated enough. Let me just run it, see if it is working the way it should. Okay, so if you see here, it was failed. Okay, so the test is starting method 1. All right, hello world 01 was printed, and then if you see, this was failed because 2 and 3 are not equal. This was failed, and because it failed, so it has printed the failed statement as well. The test was failed, right? Because we have a method especially for failed as well. So the sysout statement for failed was printed, and then if you see, nothing is there, right? Nothing is there, failed, and this, if you go down, we don't have it here. Okay, right, so let me just quickly check. Is wrong. I should ideally print this, and on test script it should ideally have printed this. It did not print. Why? Okay, interesting. All right, I had no clue why it did not print the script one. Okay, so let me run it again. Okay, I made no changes, right? But looks like there was some glitch in between. So let me just run it as TestNG test again. Let's see what it does. Okay, now if you see here the report first, let me just take the report. The test was marked as failed. Okay, and if you see here within listener demo, we have two methods. The first one was failed, okay, and the second one is in yellow. That means it was skipped. Okay, and if you go to the console, you see here method was starting hello world 01 method fail. This was because it failed, so it printed the fail statement, and then we have second method, right? We have second method, so it printed the test is starting and the method name, right? And then since this method was failed, this is ideally not supposed to be executed, so It was not executed, it was skipped, right? And it printed the name of the method that was script. So test method 02. So sorted, right? So we saw this as well. Okay, all good. I hope you have understood everything. And let me tell you that this statement can be replaced with Selenium scripts. Okay, just for the simplicity and time to save the time, I am not using Selenium script, but you can use driver dot find element and verify page title, perform some action, and you can do it. Okay, but I would like you to practice something, because these are a lot of things here. So in just one video, you may understand it, but if you practice it, will you will have it on tips, I would say. Okay, now we are left with these two. I'm not going to cover this as a part of uh, you know uh, uh, as a part of this what do you call it, these tests in this class. Okay, but I'm going to cover this in the next section. Okay, so let's go with the next section. Now if you see here, we are having listener added to this class. Now what if I have multiple classes, demo 1, demo 2, demo 3, demo 4, demo 5, and they all need the same listener class. They all want to use the same listener class, right? So in that case, you'll have to go and add these listener at the rate listener to all the classes that we have, right? Which is not a good practice because we are repeating things, right? So in order to avoid that, what you can do is you can you can add listener using TestNG file as well. The way we have added listener on class level, we can add it on suite level. Using suite level as well. Sorry. So let me just create one sample suite quickly. TestNG, convert to TestNG, and let me just make it like listener. Okay, full capital and finish. Cool. So we have this test listener XML suite created. Now we have this class as well, and I told you that we can run it on using suite XML as well, TestNG XML suite as well. So how do we do that? So in order to do that, I have ready code. Let me just paste it here. So see here, we have listener tag. Okay, within that we have listeners. Now within that we have to specify the name of the listener, class name, and the listener class name is this. Okay, paste here, but we have to specify the name of the package as well. Dot. Okay, so this is all you have to do, and since we have specified the listener in the suite file, you don't have to put it on class level. Get rid of. Okay, we are good. You can remove this as well. Okay, no error. Now let's quickly run and see if it is working fine. Okay, run is testing. All right, so it has executed the same line of code. Okay, skipped one, failed one, passed one for one test, right? Because the other test is being skipped. All right, now what if I told you that what if I have multiple classes? In that case, we need to have multiple class. So let me just quickly create a copy of this. Okay, and one more, right? So three classes, they all have the same methods, everything in there. Okay, so let me just remove this depends on, okay, for now, because we have understood. So let me remove that depends on again from here. Control S, and let's make it 3, make it 4, and let's add the name of the class that we have, so that we know that which class this method belongs to. It will be easier for us to understand. Similarly for demo 3, do we need demo 3? Let me just remove this. Okay. So we have everything ready. Let me just go and quickly add my class, second class, to my suite file. Control S. If you see here, we have two different class, and they both are going to use the same listener class, right? So let's run this. Right click, run as TestNG. Let's see what. Okay. So if you see here for all right, no problem. So test method 1, hello world 01, starting, executing the test, and then fail. Since it was failing, so fail statement here. Starting, test method 2. Okay, just a minute, I'm so sorry. Let me just, in order to not confuse you, let me make it 02, and this will be 03, and this, right? Cool. So now let's run this XML file, because I know that would have been that must have been confusing for you. All right, so test started, test executed. Since test failed, this was printed. Again, second test started, second test printed, executed. And since it was a pass, the second method was passed. All right, so the pass was successfully printed. And then we have the third method from demo2. All right, the third method from demo2. So similarly, the same set for demo2. Fourth method, we have the same set of it. So we can see that on success, the method itself, on fail, and on success, right? This is for the success one, this is for the starting one. They are all printing the way we wanted to, and this time we have used suite instead of class. All right, so there are two ways. One is you can specify the listener on using in the suite file itself. That way you avoid adding listener in each class, right? No addition of listener on class level, but this suite file will manage, it will supply this listener class to all the class that we have on the within this test node. All right, now I hope this is all about ITestListener. Now let me come back to the two methods that we have, right? So the way we have implemented here, we are going to implement this as well, right? But first, let's see what do they do when they are triggered. So on start, when I hover on it, it says the invoked before running all the test method belonging to classes inside test tag. So whatever the classes we have inside test tag, okay, before we execute the methods belonging to those classes, okay, this particular method will be called. Okay, so that means if you open this XML file and see this, this is the test tag, right? Within this test tag, whatever the classes that we have, and within these classes, whatever the methods that we have, before they run, okay, before they run, this will be called. All right, so let's see if this is called. So this is, okay, I am the first one. Let me just put it like, I am the first one to be executed. All right, now if you see here, we have ITest result here, but in here we have ITest context. So we have to use this context here, paste it here, and that's it. All right, and what is this going to get me? This will get me the name of, get name will not get me the name of the class or method. This will get me the name of the tag, test tag. That means the test tag, its name is test, right? So let me just make it test01 here. Okay, and let's see if it prints. Okay, and similarly on, this is on start. That means any test that is executed within this test tag, okay, before those tests are executed, this will be printed. And similarly, after all the tests are passed, or after all the tests are executed, this method will be called, right? So I am the last one. Okay, so let's run this. And let's just wait. Okay, so if you see here, it printed the first statement as I am the first one to be executed, which is nothing but this statement. So if you see here, this is the statement which was called first, right? Okay, and then it perform all the test 1, test method 2, test method 3, test method 4, and finally at the end I am the last one to be executed, right? Yes, so I hope that's clear to you. In case, say for example, we have another set of test here. Sorry, the time has exceeded. It's around 40 minutes now, but I wanted to cover everything in detail, so that's why I took this much of time. So if you see here, we have now two set of tests. Now these both have the same classes. So let me just make them different. Okay, we can keep same or we can keep different. So but just for the just to make them different, I'm keeping different. So the test one has only one class which is going to execute the methods demo, methods under class demo, and this test 2 will execute the method that we have within class demo 2. All right, and they both, I mean the test have different name, test 1, test 2. Let's run this now. Let's see what happens. All right, so if you see here, I'm the first one to be executed. Okay, test 1 method, test 2 method. Okay, but if you see here, it printed I am the last one to be executed and the name of the test is test01. Right, so this is the first test. All right, now since we have another one, so it will start again, and this time it will pick the methods from demo2 class. So test method 3, test method 4, and then it prints the last statement again, I am the last one to be executed, test02. Right, so that's the reason why it says test tag. You hover on it again once more. Let's see. If you say inside the test tag, and this name is nothing but the name of the test that we have. Okay, and the test is not the test method. Remember, the test is not the test method but the test tag, and the name of this test tag is this one. All right, I hope that's clear. And let me just see if I have not covered anything that was supposed to be covered as a part of TestListener. No, I guess I have covered everything. All the methods are here. We have added script everywhere. All right. All right. So let's quickly go to TestNG documentation. And this is on the official documentation site. If you go there, let me go to the top and confuse you. If you go to TestNGListener, you see here, it says there are several interfaces that allow you to modify TestNG behavior. What did we do? We are modifying the behavior here. Instead of executing this test directly, we are making sure that these things are executed first. I mean, this is executed first, and once this is executed, right, this is executed. If it is pass, if it is fail, then this is executed. So we are changing the behavior of TestNG, the way it executes. So we are modifying it. Okay, so several interfaces. So these are the several interfaces that we have. Okay, and they all provide different functionalities, different feature. And what we saw today is the last one, ITestListener, right? And if you see the next line, it says these interfaces are broadly called as TestNGListener. So these are TestNGListener, and what we saw was ITestListener. So don't get confused between test listeners and ITestListener. ITestListener is one of the interface within TestNGListeners. All right, I hope that's clear. Now the second one, which is more important again, when you implement one of this interface, we implemented this, right? So any interface that you implement, you can let TestNG know about it with either of the following ways. That means how you can execute those listeners, how you can bind, link the listeners with your classes. So the first one is using listener on the command line. Okay, the way we execute test methods, test classes using command line, I have a video on that as well. Okay, similarly, we can use command line to pass our listener. We can use any of this listener. Okay, so you can use that as well. Similarly, you can use a build tool like and. Okay, it supports and. So within and build tool, you can give the supply the listener, and that can be used to execute your methods or apply those listener on your methods. Similarly, the third one, using listener in your TestNG XML file that what we saw, okay, and using address listener annotation on any of your test classes. We saw that, right? The first one, we added listener on class, then we added listener in the TestNG XML file, and this is something another one using service loader. All right, so these are the 5 ways you can use listener. You can apply listener to the test methods that you have. All right, so I guess everything is covered. in terms of TestNG, ITestListener. All right. In the next video, I will try to cover this iSuite Listener. Okay, this is a small one, okay, but simple one. There are people who use it, and there are many people who don't use them, right? But yeah, as a part of tutorial, I'm going to cover this. But I'm not going to cover these ones because they are more or less not used. But there are people who use them. But I personally saw that in my experience, I have not seen anyone using it. iReporter is basically used to change the default reporting behavior of TestNG, but we don't use TestNG report as such. We use different third library tool. So again, we don't use this. And even this can be used, but I will not use it because I know that there are many other tools which gives you the feature that you want, and the feature that you can use, that you achieve using this method interceptor. All right, so I will cover only these two. I have covered this, and I will cover this in the next topic, in the next video, but I'm not covering this. All right, so you have a good time. I guess everything is covered, so I thank you for staying with me for 46 minutes. All right, so you have a good time ahead, and see you in the next video. All right, bye bye.